I'm Henry Hodge, and I did my third food presentation on falafel, and I'm going to be focusing on the ingredient of chickpeas. So, for the history and culture of chickpeas, it is one of the earliest cultivated legumes, and it's native to the Mediterranean and Middle East regions, but this is somewhat debated and not for certain. There were remains of chickpeas found from over 7,500 years ago, and chickpeas are known by many names, including the garbanzo bean, Indian pea, sesame bean, Bengal gram, chana, kadale or kadale, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, and shimbra. And continuing on with the history, some of the ways it was used historically was that it was eaten as a staple dessert or just eaten raw in classical Greece. It was cooked down into a broth or roasted as a snack as well, and it was also used medicinally, which I will get into later. So, for the nutrient composition of a 1 cup serving of chickpeas, there are 269 calories, 4 grams of fat, 35 to 45 grams of carbohydrates, depending on if they're canned or not, 10 to 15 grams of protein, and the dried cooked chickpeas have more protein, and just 9 to 12 grams of fiber, which is a decent amount of fiber. You can see that overall the nutritional value of chickpeas seems to be pretty balanced, leaning a little bit towards the carbs. As for chickpeas' relationship to disease, it benefits those with diabetes because it has a low glycemic index, which helps prevent blood sugar spikes. It aids in digestion since it has that 9 to 12 grams of fiber. It lowers risk for heart disease because the soluble fiber lowers cholesterol, reducing the risk overall for heart disease. It may lower the risk for cancer because it produces short-chain fatty acids called butyrates. I'm not exactly sure if that's how you say it. Those help get rid of sick and dying cells, and then it also increases bone strength due to the calcium content. So, if you want to be able to tell if chickpeas are fresh, you're looking for the fresh, plump, and green pods. There are going to be no brown spots or wilting, and they're going to be plump and slightly fuzzy, and that's for green chickpeas. There are some other varieties that might not be green, so in that case, you obviously wouldn't be looking for green pods, but overall, you don't want to see brown spots or wilting. Agriculturally, it requires a cooler temperature, so it can be grown during all 4 seasons depending on the part of the world, meaning that if it's grown in a tropical region, it's probably going to grow best during the winter when it's cooler, or if you're in a colder region, it can be grown in the spring and summer because it'll be cooler all year round in that area. For availability, dried and canned chickpeas are available everywhere year round, all around the world. And chickpeas are generally very sustainable, and they cause very little damage to air, water, land, and soil, and everything else related to that. So, according to this recipe, in order to prepare chickpeas as falafel, you're going to start by soaking dried chickpeas for 24 hours, and they'll basically double in size and get very plump. Second, you want to make the mixture with herbs, garlic, and onion and refrigerate, and most people recommend that you put all this in a food processor until it gets to like kind of a thick, fully ground meal. Third, you're going to form the patties or balls, whichever you would like, and then fourth, you're going to fry it for 3 to 5 minutes, and this recipe recommended that you go for around 375 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't want it too hard or too hot so that the falafel is breaking up, but you do want it to be cooked. So I ate the falafel plate from Yassine's Falafel House. It was extremely savory and filling. It was very hearty. It had a lot of flavor. One part that I thought was interesting was that I chose to have the falafel plate, so it was basically falafel on top of a salad. The falafel was very warm, I'm guessing because they just fried it, and then the salad was cold. And I thought that was interesting. It wasn't my favorite combination. That is probably just a personal thing. Um, it wasn't my favorite dish as a whole, mainly because of the salad. I wasn't the biggest fan of how much salad there was compared to how much falafel, because I really enjoyed the falafel. And that led me to believe that I'd probably like it on a sandwich a lot more as opposed to the salad. So here's a picture of the plate I got today. You can see the falafel is circling the salad right there. I guess they gave me about 3 pieces of falafel that they cut in half, and I got the spicy version. So they put, I believe that's homemade hummus on top, um, and then the salad is underneath. So falafel is basically unlike anything I've tried before. My family is Taiwanese, and I grew up in Knoxville, which has exposed me mainly to Asian cuisine and Southern food. So eating falafel was kind of very different than what I'm used to. And I found that falafel is extremely common in other parts of the world, and it's just eaten as a daily meal in sandwiches and salads and whatnot. So I kind of drew a comparison to how we eat fried chicken here. If you go to Chick-fil-A, you can get fried chicken strips on a salad. You can have them plain. You can have fried chicken on a sandwich. It seems very similar to the attitude towards falafel in other cultures, where they eat it on salads and sandwiches and pretty much anything. Overall, this presentation really introduced me to this kind of food from a different culture, and it helped me put into perspective the cultures that have affected me growing up and the food I eat. And here are my references. Thank you.